Working with a host of all-stars. I asked Pat about handling so many great ones together.
If that's what you call a practice, then shoot-arounds have come a long way too, but we really didn't have any kind of formal practice. There were 9,000 fans and 400 media. Trying to get the media off the floor was like, I don't know, but it was very impossible. We spent about 30 minutes discussing some plays and having some shooting games. It was a lot of fun. We had more fun than anything else.
This was Patrick Ewing's idea of a practice, going one-on-one against Scottie Pippen. But in the ball game, Patrick was far more intense. Watch him take the pretty feed underneath the alley-oop. He lays it up and in. Ewing had 15 points and 10 rebounds. He did it in 25 minutes, and here's the big play. Jordan penetrating. Ewing hits the jumper, sends the game into overtime. And his coach, Pat Riley, was excited for Patrick Ewing.
The only thing that I regret about that is that we were down 2, and he shot at the tie. I would have loved to have us down 1 and have him shoot to win the game, but I thought Patrick had an exceptional game. 15 points, 10 rebounds, and he did all that in 25 minutes.
In overtime, Ewing was on fire. He hit 3 baskets, including this pretty fall-away jumper. Watch Patrick go to the basket. Isaiah with the miss. Ewing is there, pulls down the board, and Patrick was super in overtime, but it wasn't enough because John Stockton and Carl the Mailman Malone combined for co-MVP honors. The West beats the East 135-132. Quite an experience.
When you get to the game, you find out the game is competitive as heck, and you find out a little bit about all the guys that you've been trying to coach against and scout, and you've developed real sort of tough rivalries with. So, I mean, for one day, the game itself transcends all of the rivalries and all of the competition amongst one another. So from that standpoint, it was really a lot of fun.
Now, as far as the Knicks are concerned, there's no doubt that John Starks comes into the second half of the season red hot. Starks started the last 11 games before the break. He averaged 22 points per ball game. And against Charlotte on Wednesday before heading to Utah, Starks had his best ball game of the season. 39 points, 13 assists. Meanwhile, Patrick Ewing had 43. The Knicks down 13 in the third, had a 14-0 run at one point, and they went on to blitz the Charlotte Hornets 124-116. Hey, this was a two-man game all the way, with the duo combining for 57 of the Knicks' 66 second-half points. Time for the Alamo Scouting Report on the Minnesota Timberwolves, who come into tonight's ball game 5-5 in their last 10. But the big story with the Timberwolves is the rookie Christian Laettner, who has been in and out of trouble for much of the season. He has been suspended for tonight's ball game because he went over the weekend to be honored in North Carolina and didn't get back for practice yesterday. Now, there was an outburst involving Laettner just about a week ago against Houston. Cursing at assistant coach Chuck Davison. And it happened in the ball game against Houston. And then this incident just a couple of moments ago. Sidney Lowe told me when he sat Laettner down in this ball game, he said to him, hey, you've got to keep your head. And he says he's not suspending him because he's mad at him. It's because he's disappointed. Christian talked a couple of moments ago about that incident with Chuck Davison. He said it's been an isolated incident of a young man who simply lost his head in the heat of battle. Here's Christian's comments moments ago.
There's only been, one outburst, and that was just an assistant coach. And, maybe when it happens to someone like me who, everyone thinks might be, like he said, the All-American boy, people are surprised about it. But, I'm playing a professional sport at that time. My emotions are flying, and, I just yelled one time.
Are you out tonight? Are you out of the game tonight?
That way, yes.
How do you react to it?
I don't know. I really haven't reacted to it. I haven't thought about it. I'm surprised that, this much was done because they knew of my situation. I knew of their situation. But a decision was made, and I had to go with it, and that's fine.
Was it because you missed a practice?
Yes. I missed the practice.
Did you have some type of conflict or some type of personal situation?
I made a business decision that I had to do something in North Carolina, and I told them that I wasn't going to be able to make practice. They said we want you there, and my decision was, along with my agents and my business advisor, said you need to be in North Carolina on that day. So I missed practice, and that's the decision they made.
So if this is a one-game suspension, let's say, is this going to change any of the way you approach the future in the NBA?
Well, you know, I never plan on missing practice. But this was, you know, if things are scheduled in advance and they're things that are very important, and there's no way to get around it, then, you know, a decision has to be made. A decision will never be made over a game, obviously, but, you know, some people miss practice in the NBA, and usually they get fined for it, and I'm willing to accept that consequence. But, you know, I didn't think I was going to get suspended. No.
Christian had an engagement to go to down in North Carolina, and we felt that he should miss practice. I told him he couldn't go. His agents or whoever told him that he should make it down there, and you know, we felt that he didn't follow policies, and he put that before the team. And I think, you know, he let me down, he let the ball club down, and I think the only thing for me to do was suspend him.
Did any of the past little incidents contribute? Was it a building thing where all of a sudden you said enough is enough?
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, when I talked to Christian to let him know he wasn't going to play tonight, we discussed a couple other things, and you know, I told him it's not a point of where I'm not mad at you, I'm disappointed, but it's not like I'm going to hold a grudge against you or anything like that. We'll get through this ball game, and then we'll go on with the next one.
So Coach Sidney Lowe demanding respect, and Christian Laettner is out of tonight's ball game. He is suspended for one game because he missed a practice yesterday at Madison Square Garden. Coming up next, we'll go back to that wild weekend out west, the All-Star game, the All-Star activities, and much more. Stay with us on Knicks Game Night.
Reason to buy the others.
Welcome to the 1993 All-Star Weekend in Salt Lake City, Utah. 4 days of fun and basketball for both fans and players alike. The NBA Jam Session, presented by Fleer, offered up a serving of everything a hoops fan could ever want. The event, held at the Salt Palace, allowed basketball fans of all ages the chance to look and sound like the pros.
Well, I think the thing that's incredible about it, first of all, it's the first time that they've done something like this, and I'm sure it'll go on forever. It's a basketball festival. It's a party. It's wonderful.
Meanwhile, the Delta Center hosted a different kind of party this weekend, the NBA's 4th annual Stay in School Jam. It was an hour of performers and players dedicated to getting out the word on getting an education.
And yeah, staying in school is something we really believe in. Y'all believe in it too?
Saturday, the heroes of the game took center stage at the Schick Legends Classic as the East defeated the West 58-45. Defending champion Craig Hodges was denied a 4th straight AT&T long-distance title. Mark Price of the Cleveland Cavs proved to be the master of the three. And in the Gatorade Slam Dunk Championship, it was Miami's Harold Miner who struck gold in Utah. That's gay! That's gay! And finally on Sunday, all eyes would turn to the 43rd annual All-Star Game. This would be the first All-Star contest since 1987 to need overtime, and it would be some home cooking that would lead the West to victory. Stockton and Karl Malone would share co-MVP honors, bringing to close a spectacular weekend of basketball for all involved.
It's just a show. It's the greatest show on earth.
And this is the love of the game right here. This is what these guys here now are here for, the love of the game. The guys who's in the contest, the guys who's in the All-Star game. And that's why it's so great.
Jim Abbott, Jimmy Key, Spike Owen, Paul O'Neill, Wade Boggs. Yankees baseball on MSG Network, the best in the...
Looking to have some remodeling work done in your home or office? Then call 1-800-REMODEL today and get in touch with the experienced people at Jarrow Building Industries. Jarrow Builders is a member of the National Association of the Remodeling Industry and the National Kitchen and Bath Association. When you call Jarrow at 1-800-REMODEL, you'll be working with talented professionals who will take you through every critical step of your remodeling project, designed to fit your budget. We specialize in additions, dormers, kitchens and baths, as well as office renovations, finished basements, and mother-daughter apartments. When you need remodeling work done, you want to deal with a company that is both reliable and well-established. Jarrow Builders has been providing quality remodeling work for over 27 years and offers a 3-year warranty on workmanship and materials. When you call 1-800-REMODEL, we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have about your remodeling project. And remember, with Jarrow's award-winning production and design specialists, no job is too large or too small. Call Jarrow Builders today at 1-800-REMODEL and ask for operator number 2.
Relive the most unforgettable moments in history. Introducing 10 Days That Shook the World. A commemorative set of 10 newspapers as originally published by the New York Times. Experience firsthand the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Read the actual newspaper accounts of Custer's last stand. Witness the end of the Civil War. Call now to order these collector's editions that actually make history come to life. The dramatic sinking of the Titanic. World War II's VE Day, the assassination of JFK. Be there as the course of history was changed forever when the first atomic bomb was dropped on Japan. Celebrate the historic day the first man walked on the moon. You'll receive 10 complete issues of the New York Times just as they came off the presses. 10 days that shook the world.
Call now to order this unique commemorative set of 10 newspapers for 2 easy payments of $19.95 plus shipping. Call 1-800-848-1700. That's 1-800-848-1700.
Inside with Pride is brought to you by the Discover Card. It pays to discover. The card that pays you back.
Welcome to Inside with Clyde. Clyde, we don't have a lot of time for you because we spent so much time with Leitner and Sidney Love, but we want to get your reaction to Leitner being suspended for one ball game for missing a practice.
Well, I'm really flabbergasted because of this young man's character playing at Duke, an All-American, so he knows that a lot of responsibility is on his shoulders. So very bizarre action here by a Christian.
But he went to be honored for an award, Clyde, down in North Carolina.
Yeah, Bruce, but did they give him $26 million?
No.
Well, then he has to be here on his job. And first things that must be first, someone could have accepted that award for him. I know it was a very distinguishable award, but now he's cost his team another game not playing tonight. And what does his teammates think about this as well? That can create dissension on the team.
So tonight, it's the Knicks against the T-Wolves without Christian Leitner. Still to come, a look around the NBA. But first, a look at this day in Nissan's This Day in NBA history. And it was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar replacing the Big E as the NBA's all-time leader in games played.
If I buy an affordable sedan like Sentra, I expect a few necessities.
How about over 35 standard features?
And I expect a few luxuries.
Air conditioning, cruise control, AM/FM cassette.
Of course, I expect it to be fun to drive.
Would 110 horsepower help?
Hey, with that much car, what more could I expect?
How about $169 a month lease?
And just $169 down? Now that I didn't expect.
Nissan, it's time to expect more from a car.
I got you, you got me. We go together so naturally. There's nothing we can't do. I'm so much better with you.
Canon, the leader in office technology and MCS, a Canon subsidiary known for its responsive service. They're a team you can count on. Canon Technology and MCS service. One is a great reason to buy the other.
So much better with you.
Oh, yeah.
Consider the interest you're paying on your credit card. Thanks to Smart Rate from the Discover card, there's a chance to go lower. Now, the more you choose the Discover card when making purchases, the lower your rate can go. And since there's still no annual fee, that's a whole new bottom line. Smart Rate, as low as 14.9%. Check your mail for your pre-approved application. It pays to Discover.
It's almost as if someone once said, just in case people like sunshine and water, we'd better make Florida. And we'd better make miles of beautiful beaches and places like St. Augustine and Key West, just in case people want to go to them. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, all across America. And nationwide, only Alamo gives you all those miles for free, including the ones that run through a state that's named after sunshine.
The NBA News Report is brought to you by the new LA Gear, which reminds you, get in gear. LA Gear.
Hi, everybody. This is Bob Page back in our Sports Desk studios. Charlotte star Larry Johnson is still steaming publicly at Pat Riley about having played so little in Sunday's All-Star game. Perhaps he will inadvertently do Riley a favor and take his anger out on the Nets tonight when New Jersey plays at Charlotte against the Hornets. Nets hit the All-Star break at 30-21, one of the surprise teams in the entire league this year, but we wondered if they could keep it up.
There's always a fear that the guys are going to become a little bit more lax than they necessarily should be, but Chuck is a tough taskmaster when need be, and you know, he's not going to let these guys totally revert.
We have not played great basketball this year, even though we've won 30 games. I don't think we've played great basketball, or even sometimes very good basketball. And I think, you know, we are capable of playing a lot better in every area.
I think we've grown up. I think we've got a great coach in Chuck Daly. He's done a tremendous job. We've had, in my mind, some tough breaks this year. We've had quite a few injuries here and there. I think that Mo Cheeks and Bernard coming onto the team will help us in the second half, and we'll get to the playoffs. So I'm just hoping that we can keep everybody healthy. I think these guys have begun to believe that they can win. I think Chuck has gotten them working hard on the court, and we've come up with some very nice wins.
If you missed the news from yesterday, Chicago finally had to put ex-Knick Bill Cartwright on the injured list due to his bad back. No word yet just how long he'll be out. And Seattle and the Lakers swung that big deal. L.A. sending Brooklyn native Sam Perkins to Seattle in exchange for the rights to unsigned #1 draft choice Doug Christie and center Benoit Benjamin, who brings along a history of soft play and underachieving with him.
You know, I just want to get in and be given the opportunity. You know, there's nothing really for me to say. You know, everybody's going to take their shots on me. You know, I'm fully aware of that, but you know, my thing is come in and play basketball and try to get an effort. You know, I thrive on the fact knowing that people, you know, really don't give me a chance, really count me out, really say, well, but no, you can't do this, question my desire, my intensity, my consistency. Just a matter of me getting a chance to go out and play and show what I can do.
The NBA announced today that this year's All-Star Game was the highest TV-rated All-Star Game in league history, but of course a good part of that is due to the fact that the contest was played in prime time. And finally, Seattle guard Gary Payton is lucky to be alive today. Payton, obviously not a Rhodes Scholar, went home to Oakland, California during the All-Star break. For some reason, he was carrying on his person some $60,000 in cash and jewelry. When he flashed the money around, a punk followed him home and mugged him. A gunshot was fired while the two struggled for the weapon. Payton was unhurt. The thief got away with the valuables. Now, stay tuned for New York Knicks basketball next here on MSG.
New York Knicks game night has been brought to you by Alamo. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, and with Alamo, all those miles are free.
At Eagle, we're well aware of what kind of cars the general public wants. And for 1993, we're happy to announce that once again, we didn't build them. Introducing the new Eagle Vision, the new Eagle Summit, and Eagle Talent. Cars specifically designed for performance enthusiasts, because appealing to the masses has never appealed to us. Eagle, not intended for the general public.
See your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
It puts the wind in your sails.
There he is, rediscovering the sounds of his youth. He'll tell you his music never sounded so good. He's smiling because his state-of-the-art Iowa Personal Portable has all the features he could ever want. He's also smiling because he paid such a low price for it that nobody beats the Wiz. I'm smiling because with this remote, I can turn his music off whenever I want. Iowa Portables that nobody beats the Wiz, for the kid in all of us.
Some people will stop at nothing.
Here we go again. Who'd the Knicks trade for Dave DeBuscher?
Walt Bellamy and Howie Colmines.
What's Sam Huff's real first name? Robert. Most career shutouts, Rangers.
Eddie Jockman.
How many times did Mickey Mantle homer under a full moon in Cleveland in 1956?
Batting lefty or righty?
Lefty or righty?
To keep up with sports in New York, keep up with the times.
With Sally's $15 a month pay-as-you-go plan, you're not signed up for as long as you live, just as long as you want. Call 1-800-WORKOUT today.
The NBA All-Star Game provided plenty of excitement for the Knicks participants. Patrick Ewing sent the game into overtime. Well, Pat Riley coached a thrilling contest before losing out to the West. The Knicks, meanwhile, are ready to resume their season. They were last seen on Thursday when they were led by Patrick Ewing over the Charlotte Hornets. Pat Riley's club has now enjoyed victories in 9 of their last 10 games. Tonight, they will look to continue their recent success against the struggling Minnesota Timberwolves, a team they had little difficulty with last November. The regular season resumes next. Welcome to Madison Square Garden in New York for the New York Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Knicks come out of the All-Star break, one of the hottest teams in the NBA. They lead the Atlantic Division with a record of 34-16. They are 4.5 games in front. They have won 9 out of the last 10, while the Timberwolves with a record of 12-35, and this their 4th year of existence. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with John Andres, and as reported earlier on Knicks game night, the Minnesota Timberwolves' #1 draft pick, the outstanding rookie Christian Laettner, will not be in action tonight. He has been suspended for 1 game after missing the Timberwolves practice session here at Madison Square Garden yesterday, so the interim head coach Sidney Lowe obviously felt that he had to take a stand.
No question, Mark. Sidney Lowe replaced Jimmy Rogers early in January. Rogers known as a soft coach. Sidney Lowe cannot present that kind of stance. He has to be tough on Laettner, and he's being that way. Although Laettner has shown indications earlier this season of misconduct with his teammates, so this is not a total surprise. What it does mean is that Bob McCann will replace him in the starting lineup, and that Chuck Person will have to pick up the scoring that they'll miss with Laettner's absence.
You mentioned the misconduct. There was one particular incident a week ago, this past Saturday, in a game against Houston, played in Minnesota, that bothered Sidney Lowe and several of Laettner's teammates. This an incident involving a screaming match with Minnesota assistant coach Chuck Davison. He cursed at the assistant coach, not appreciated by the Minnesota Timberwolves coaching staff. And earlier, Bruce Beck had an opportunity to talk about the suspension with Christian Laettner.
I made a business decision that I had to do something in North Carolina. And I told them that I wasn't going to be able to make practice. They said, we want you there. And my decision, along with my agents and my business advisors, said you need to be in North Carolina on that day. So I missed practice, and that's the decision they made.
And that decision has led to the suspension of Christian Laettner. He is out of the game tonight. For the Knicks, it is back to work following the All-Star break. They concluded in grand style against Charlotte. That was last Wednesday with a solid all-around effort. A game that was sparked by remarkable play by the combination of Patrick Ewing and John Starks.
a remarkable performance in the second half of that game, Marv. They took off and took the team with them. The team scored 66 points in the second half. They had 57 of them. And over the last 19 games, Marv, it shows that this has not been a surprise, with Starks and Ewing both scoring high at 46% plus of the Knicks offense over the last 19 games. And the Knicks are 15-4 over 19 with those two doing big work. So Charlotte really continued a pattern, but in a rather spectacular manner.
So it's the Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves here at Madison Square Garden. We'll be back with the lineups right after this.
There we were.
Welcome back to the Garden, and we're set for the introduction of the Hertz starting lineups. Starting lineups that will not include that man, #1 draft pick Christian Laettner, sitting it out because of the suspension, as we mentioned, for missing practice yesterday. Let's join with the public address.
At guard, at 6'2" from Baylor, number 24, Michael Williams. At forward, at 6'7" from Morehead State, number 30, Bob McCann. At forward, at 6'8" from Auburn, number 45, Chuck Person. At center, at 7 feet from Louisville, number 15, Felton Spencer. The trainer is Jay Jensen. Assistant coaches Chuck Davison and Jim Brewer. The head coach, Sidney Lowe. Christian Laettner will not play this evening. And now, please welcome your New York Knicks. At guard, at 6'5" from Oklahoma State, number 3, John Starks. At guard, at 6'2" from UNLV, number 50, Greg Anthony. At forward, at 6'10" from Pittsburgh, number 54, Charles Smith. At forward, at 6'9" from Virginia Union, number 34, co-captain Charles Oakley. And at center, at 7 feet from Georgetown, number 33, co-captain Patrick Ewing. The head trainer is Mike Saunders. Assistant trainer Tim Oaks. Assistant coaches Dick Harder and Jeff Van Gundy. And the head coach for the Knicks, Pat Riley.
And by now you are well aware, Christian Laettner sitting it out tonight, suspended for 1 game after missing practice yesterday. The interim head coach, Sidney Lowe, taking a stand and coming through with the suspension earlier. Bruce Beck talked about that suspension with Sidney Lowe.
Christian had an engagement to go to down in North Carolina, and we felt that he shouldn't miss practice. I told him he couldn't go. His agents or whoever told him that he should make it down there, and you know, we felt that he didn't follow policies, and he put that before the team. And I think, you know, he let me down, he let the ball club down, and I think the only thing for me to do was suspend him.
Did any of the past little incidents contribute? Was it a building thing where all of a sudden you said enough is enough?
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, when I talked to Christian to let him know he wasn't going to play tonight, we discussed a couple other things, and you know, I told him it's not a point of I'm not mad at you, I'm disappointed, but it's not like I'm going to go hold a grudge against you or anything like that. We'll get through this ball game, and then we'll go on with the next one.
As you look at tonight's overhead camera shot, brought to you by the Upper Deck Company. Nobody does basketball like Upper Deck. John Starks gets right to it. The Knicks with a 2-0 lead. Sidney Lowe, the interim head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, one-time star at North Carolina State. Here's Chuck Person, and he is fouled. Sidney Lowe took over for Jimmy Rogers back on the 11th of January as interim head coach. At 33, he's the youngest coach in the NBA, a one-time player with Minnesota, one-time color commentator, John, it should be noted, for these Timberwolves.
Like his coaching competitor tonight, Pat Riley. Hope that never happens to me, Marv, you know. Christian Laettner sitting there at the end of the bench in position he's unaccustomed to be sitting at. He has started every one of the Timberwolves' 47 games coming into tonight.
Game is tied at 2. Charles Smith with the height advantage on Chuck Person. Here's Smith. Yes. And the Knicks with a 4-2 lead.
Charles was not part of that gigantic come-from-behind win the other night in Charlotte in their last game. Charles only played 15 minutes, had foul trouble early, a pattern he's gotten into. So he's anxious, you know, and ready to go.
And a traveling violation is called on person. There is Rolando Blackman, who has been placed on the injured list due to a grade 1 sprain of the right knee and a sprained right ankle. And Rolando expected to be out of action the next 2 to 3 weeks. The swelling in the knee has gone down, but he still does not have full motion due to that combined injury. So the Knicks nicely set up for John Starks. So the Knicks decided to take a slower approach with Rolando Blackman, looking ahead to the stretch drive and the playoffs. So Eric Anderson has been reactivated for tonight. Here's Spencer. Lost it. He expected contact. Last touched by the Knicks.
Well, Felton Spencer back in the lineup 1 game ago after missing 6 games with a groin injury. In his 3rd season now, a #1 draft pick for this team 2 years ago. #6 player chosen. The following year, Luke Longley was the #1 draft pick, also a big man on this team. Neither player, both in the top 10 in the draft picks 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and neither guy has come on strong to justify that high draft selection by the Timberwolves.
I mentioned he expected contact. Well, apparently he did get some because he was fouled by Patrick Ewing. The officials tonight: Mike Mathis, Ed Middleton, and Louis Grillo. The Knicks 6 and the Timberwolves 3, and Spencer knocks it out of bounds. The Timberwolves last played at home Thursday night, beat Sacramento 121-114. They have lost 2 of the last 3, 4 of their last 6. Here's Smith. Rebound Ewing. Rebound Ewing. Patrick nearly put it up the wrong way.
Nice quick response, though, by Ewing, who sat out practice yesterday after his all-star workout. Knicks had one last evening.
And a foul is called. Michael Williams sent fly. Michael Williams a question mark for today. Oakley called for the foul. Michael with a bruised left heel. Did play Thursday against Sacramento, missed a couple of games. Michael Williams, very important player for the Minnesota Timberwolves, averaging 9 assists per game. That's #5 in the league. Among the leaders at the free throw line, also one of the leaders in steals. Person and Williams coming from the Indiana Pacers in that big package deal. And an offensive foul call. It's on Felton Spencer.
Well, you know, Pat Riley's going to be anxious to see how Charles Smith does against Person. There's Spencer banging his way inside. No question. No deception given by him in trying to get around Patrick Ewing. But Smith on Person a small forward, although a sizable guy at 6'9". Good challenge for Charles Smith as Patrick Ewing lights one up from the corner.
And the Knicks with a 10-3 lead. Is it possible to this point? We've gone about 2.5 minutes. And the Timberwolves have not officially taken a shot. Williams lost it. And the foul is called. Anthony all over Michael Williams. And called for his first. So the Knicks are 5 of 7 from the field. This is most unusual. The Timberwolves have gone to the line. They've hit 3 out of 4. They have attempted shots, but they have not counted because of the fact they've been fouled in the act. So they have now gone 2 minutes and 40 seconds without a shot attempt or an official shot attempt. John, that's called nursing the basketball.
You mentioned where Williams is statistically, Marv. Also, as you say, in the free throw area, he's doing a terrific job. #4 specifically in the NBA at a shade under 90%.
And as you say that, he goes off the back iron to miss the second free throw. Minnesota is a very good foul shooting team. They are 2nd overall. And Patrick Ewing with 6 points to give the Knicks a 12-4 lead.
Spencer kind of blamed that one on Sidney Lowe, and that ball went in the hoop. He turned around to Lowe as if to communicate, like, well, you wanted me to do something else.
This is McCann backing in, pops it out for Person. Person from deep. The Knicks 12 and the Timberwolves 6. So that is the first official shot attempt by Minnesota. It went to 3 minutes, 14 seconds without an official shot. Here's Starks for 3. The Knicks 15 and Minnesota 6.
That's impressive when a guy misses like that. Marv, the other day in Salt Lake City, Dan Marley took a 3 in the second half, three-point shot, missed it, ball came right back to him, took another one and made it. I thought that was really impressive to have the courage to do that.
West misfired. Oakley for Starks. Back to Oakley. And the foul call as Ewing tried to convert it. Oakley went flying into the photographer's area.
You know, it just seems after any kind of motion, Charles Oakley falls down. If we did a study on him, it would be very interesting. Charles,
there's a good idea, John.
Oh, no, really. Here's a layup attempt. Now, why fall down? No one's in his way, and he continued out of the picture. Could have tripped over a photographer, but he always seems to go down. Meanwhile, a nicely done fast break. At least Charles threw up a soft one for Ewing to follow up on that missed layup.
I could see a study commission at Fordham on Charles falling down.
Fordham is busy.
Your alma mater, I think, could handle that. That's Luke Longley coming on for the first time. 7'2", 265 pounds, second year out of New Mexico. Knicks with a 16-6 lead. Incidentally, I do have some bad news.
What is that?
Relayed by Joe, is that Favorito?
Favorito, yes.
That's what I said, Favorito?
Right.
Of Fordham through Dennis D'Agostino of the Knicks staff. Smith called for the foul. Last night, Dave Buckner of the Fordham Rams.
Great player, by the way.
Tied, says here, John Andresi, I guess they misspelled it, Andresi for 30th place on the all-time Fordham scoring list when he scored his 9,061st point in a game against Loyola. So Buckner, it says, will pass you or leave you in the dust, according to Dennis, at tomorrow night's game against Rice at the fabled Rose Hill Gym. So you continue to drop.
Marv, it's always been my feeling that records are made to be broken.
I see.
By the way, that was a win for Fordham last night.
Smith off the fake, got the step. Back comes Person. Has a 4-on-2. Oh, a beautiful lead pass, but West, who can sky, could not put it down. Anthony with a pull-up. Rebounded by Longley. Person picked up on the switch by Starks. The Knicks 16 and the Wolves 8. And Person looks to take Starks to the basket. Starks able to hang in pretty well. Now Starks at the other end.
Well, John Starks didn't get out of shape over the last couple of days, something Pat Riley was very sensitive to when he called the practice for his team last night at 5 p.m.
And the Knicks with the same scoring breakdown. Here are the early moments that we saw against Charlotte. They have 18 points. They lead 18-8. Starks has 9. Ewing has 7. They've combined for 16 of the 18. Timeout has been called with 6:48 remaining. First quarter.
Distance shooting exhibition from the Upper Deck trading card cam. John hasn't lost a touch since his career high 39-point performance in Charlotte the other night. Needed one to warm up, then he hit the second one. Seems to me, Marv, his foot might have been on that line. Yeah, thanks to our Upper Deck trading card cam.
It did appear that way, John. 6:40 remaining in this first quarter. Longley with a head fake gets it back out to Person. That's a three-pointer. Well, Chuck Person likes to bomb from long range. He's at 32% for the season from downtown. Chuck Person averaging just under 18 per game. That's Oakley. Charles Oakley with the outside shot, and the Knicks now lead 20-11.
That looked like a set play for Charles. He was at the end of some nice motion out there and did not hesitate. Went right for the shot.
Michael Williams tried to go one-on-one with Greg Anthony. Person again. That's 2-point range. Well, Chuck Person firing away. The Knicks now 20. And the Timberwolves 13. Anthony Mason up front now, joining Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley. Greg Anthony and John Starks at the guard. They double up on Ewing, and McCann stole it. Bob McCann, a 3-year man from Morehead State, comes from Morristown, New Jersey, originally a second-round pick of Milwaukee back in '87. Made the rounds: Milwaukee, Dallas, Detroit, Charleston, and Pensacola in the CBA. West with the step, and he was fouled. Doug West out of Villanova is the leading scorer for Minnesota, averaging just under 19 per game. He was fouled by Greg Anthony. For Anthony, his second.
I was asking assistant coach Jim Brewer, former player, why Doug West is doing so well now in his 4th season. And Jim, as an ex-player, very clearly said he's getting minutes now, something he didn't get in his first couple of years. He's a terrific athlete, playing out of the 2-guard position for us now. Sometimes he'll play the small forward position, but he just said his athleticism is so terrific, and with the extra minutes now, he's concentrating more on offense. It was his defense that was his main focus when he first came into the league.
John, he may have benefited more than any other player. That's a steal by Person. He may have benefited, and we're talking about Doug West, more than any other Timberwolf from the departure of Bill Musselman, because he became a starter last year under Jimmy Rogers, was not getting the playing time when Musselman was head coach. 5 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Longley was blocked. Williams on the recovery.
Well, he got the shot off, but the presence of Ewing really took his concentration away.
And Starks with the steal, protecting the ball, laying it off for Anthony.
Meanwhile, Greg Anthony went to the right hand at the end of that move. Quite nicely done.
The Knicks 22, the Timberwolves 15. Second meeting of the season between these two clubs. The Knicks winning at the Target Center in Minneapolis back in late November in a romp, 99-78. Longley with a spin. Mason with the rebound and picks it down to Starks. Knicks lead by 9. The Timberwolves call for a timeout with 4:12 to go. First quarter.
Growing up, Yvette
For Minnesota in late November at the Target Center in Minneapolis, and that man Chuck Person was very upset after the game. He said, once we step into the locker room, we've got to realize it's business, not Camp Snoopy. Camp Snoopy is a very popular indoor amusement park located in Bloomington, Minnesota. Chuck Person was very upset. He felt the club was not properly prepared mentally for the game against the Knicks.
Yes, the Knicks came out and did a great job, and they were led by John Starks in many ways. John had come back from a game suspension with 2 of his teammates after that incident out in Los Angeles, and he was held out an extra game and burst out on Minnesota and had a 20-point game and gave the Knicks the life they needed in that one.
Foul called on Mason, and Bob McCann will go to the line. Bob McCann in the starting lineup for only the second time this season in the absence of the suspended Christian Laettner. McCann struggles at the line. He's 60% at the free throw line. No struggle right there. Hits on both. The Knicks lead by 7. Just under 4 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Ewing and Oakley gets it back out. 3-second violation.
Charles Oakley had the ball 3 feet from the basket and elected to pass it out, but he didn't move his feet out of the 3-second lane.
Minnesota with Michael Williams, Doug West in the backcourt, Luke Longley, Chuck Person, and Bob McCann up front.
The
Timberwolves in 5th in the Midwest. They're 21 games back, record of 12 and 35. Person and Ewing involved in that collision. And it will be Nick Ball. The ball lost out of bounds.
Second worst record in the NBA. This team struggles, although they have some talent now. Unfortunately, a major part of the talent is sitting on the bench in civilian clothes. Christian Laettner sitting out due to his one-game suspension.
Ewing from way out and was way off. Longley and Oakley tie it up.
Laettner had 29 points, his then career high against the Knicks in their earlier meeting. Played a terrific game.
And Christian Laettner comes off a strong one in the win over Sacramento last Thursday. Game high 28 points, 16 rebounds. Substitution for Minnesota, Thurl Bailey, 10-year veteran from North Carolina State. Replacing Doug West, who apparently twisted his ankle. We saw him go limping in the direction of the bench. Williams and Starks battling for position. Louis Grillo had to separate the two, and the Knicks controlled the tip. Doc Rivers now in the backcourt with John Starks, Patrick Ewing, Anthony Mason, Charles Oakley up front. Wild pass recovered by Ewing, and he's fouled. Or is it a travel? No, traveling violation. And now the one-time Minnesota Timberwolves, Tony Campbell, is getting set to come on. He's over at the scorer's table. Tony Campbell spent 3 years with Minnesota, averaging 23, 21, and just under 17 points to lead the T-Wolves in scoring. Chuck Person leading Minnesota tonight with 11.
Nice lead pass to Person. Ewing clearly did not want to risk a foul.
The Knicks lead by 5. Here's Ewing.
Nice timing. Lead pass from Charles Oakley, who is certainly excellent at throwing the lead pass from out high to one of his teammates.
And we're told Doug West went back to the Minnesota locker room after coming up hobbling. Here's Bailey. And back comes Rivers.
Bailey's feet weren't ready to shoot that ball.
Starks for Ewing to the reverse. The Knicks lead 28-19.
Oh, Ewing shot that ball like a 6'7" small forward. What flexibility he demonstrated with his body.
Ewing and Starks have combined for 22. The Knicks 28 points. Similar scenario to last week in Charlotte. Starks on the pull-up. And Person gathers the rebound in with 1.5 minutes to go in this first quarter. Williams behind the back. Ewing knocked it away.
It was Rivers, though, who made him lose that control of that ball.
And Mason with the beautiful behind-the-back move. Oakley trying to return. Good save by Mason. Knicks swing it well. Rivers for 3. And Williams gets to it. Good ball movement once again being exhibited by the Knicks.
Mason's move was most impressive, how he scooped that ball up.
Person gets it out to Bailey.
His feet were ready that time. The prior jump shot, he was off balance, but he settled for less.
The Knicks 28, Timberwolves 21. Tony Campbell trapped at the scorer's table for some time. Can't get a dead ball. Now he'll be waved on. Foul committed by Thurl Bailey. So Tony Campbell has replaced Charles Oakley, who leads with a field goal for 2. 40 seconds remaining in this first quarter.
Tony only played 9 minutes against Charlotte the other night, but he contributed even in that brief period as Patrick Ewing shows that he brought the hot hand back from Salt Lake City, where he shot the ball well.
Yes, Patrick 7 for 11 for 15 points. Game high 10 rebounds of the All-Star game Sunday night. Down to 22 seconds left in the quarter. Michael Williams foul. Doc Rivers called for his first.
Marv, your absence, by the way, in Salt Lake City this weekend. was conspicuous to some of us.
Yes. I was resting up, John.
I hope you got your supply mailed from the NBA of memorabilia from All-Star Weekend, T-shirts, complete outfits.
I can only guess that it's in the mail and is headed in my direction. Here's Brad Sellers replacing Chuck Person. Person leaves with 11, 4 out of 6 from the field. Minnesota spending much time at the foul line. They had a club record 40 foul shots against Sacramento in the last game on Thursday.
They are the second best foul shooting team in the league at 79%.
Down to 10 seconds in the quarter. The Knicks by 7. Down to 5. Mason. Right hand finish. Last second attempt by Williams. So after 1 here at the Garden, it's the Knicks 32, Minnesota 23.
3 USA Mobile Track and Field Championships coming to MSG this Friday, February 26th at 6:30. Tickets on sale now at the Garden box office and at all Ticketmaster outlets. Gail Devers, the Olympic 100-meter champion, joining us. She'll be competing in the 60 meters indoors. What's the big difference running indoors and outdoors?
Indoors is a much shorter distance, but it really makes me concentrate on my speed, my start.
How are things going?
Fine. Since the Olympic Games, I've had no problems with my illness.
Now, Greg Foster will be really competing in the Swan Song meet for him. Greg, 17 years, that's it?
Yep, that's it. It's been great being here in New York and in the Garden, and I've run 16 times here, and I'm looking forward to winning my 17th on Friday.
The only 3-time world champion in the hurdles, Greg Foster. Let's go back to Marv.
All right, Bruce, in the first quarter, the Knicks have the hot hand, 63%, 15 for 24. While the Timberwolves at 5 of 13, but they did it at the foul line, 12, 14 from the line. That's West back into it. Doug West headed back to the locker room. Looked like he twisted his ankle, but apparently is all right. The Knicks 32 and the Wolves 25. Knicks with the edge off the boards to this point. Doc Rivers and now Hubert Davis in the backcourt. Patrick Ewing up front with Anthony Mason and Tony Campbell.
Looking at this game without checking the scoreboard, you'd think the Knicks would be up by 15 right now. But the Timberwolves are doing a nice job hanging close.
Earl Bailey posting up Tony Campbell. Good box out by Ewing. Now Campbell spotting up. That's that line drive jump shot. He drilled it home to give the Knicks a 9-point lead.
Well, he just has an entirely different look as a player now coming off the bench than he did as a starter, and it's good.
Here's Williams. And now Charles Smith returns. Patrick Ewing will sit down. Here's it from the crowd. 13 points on 6 of 9 from the field, along with 6 rebounds. 11 on the shot clock. And Bailey will throw in. Bailey, Sellers, and Spencer up front. Williams and West in the backcourt for Minnesota.
See Pat Riley now playing Charles Smith more carefully. Now he's playing tonight at this moment as a backup to Ewing, trying to get him out of that rut for him of small forward situations only. And he's matched against a thin guy, Brad Sellers. He can overpower Sellers, despite Sellers' 7 feet of height.
Doug West showing the touch again. He's shooting 52% from the field. Knicks have a 7-point lead. Campbell from Mason. Yes. The Knicks 36, Timberwolves 27. Anthony Mason battling his way out of that brief shooting slump. Last 10 games, coincidentally, the Knicks have won 9 of those 10. Mason averaging 14 points, shooting just under 60%. So he's picked it back up. West is fouled. Rivers try to knock it away.
That call, Mar, was on a delay. That's why Pat Riley came over to complain about that, as did Tony Campbell. It seemed the whistle blew second after the play itself.
Campbell was called for the foul. And Doug West to the line. He is an 83% free throw shooter. Doug West, 4-year starter at Villanova. He is their 3rd all-time leading scorer, second-round draft pick of Minnesota back in 1989.
Well, the NBA trading deadline is this Thursday evening, and Doug West's name comes up when people want to talk about a team like this that needs help, but I don't think the Timberwolves are anxious to let this very talented man who's bursting forth now, let him go.
Campbell on a quick release gets to the rebound. Now Smith. He thought he was fouled. Back comes West. Rivers on a reach-in steal. Has Smith ahead of the field. And he blew the stuff. Campbell is fouled.
Is there a hole big enough for Charles Smith to crawl into right now? Oh, he must be embarrassed. Doc Rivers took advantage of West turning his head. Charles kind of winds up to this, wants to make a glamorous slam dunk. And hopefully for him and other player observers, they learn a lesson. Put the ball in the best way possible off the backboard. A lot of times players have to dunk the ball, Marv, in situations in order to get it down when there are guys around them and they feel the only way they can force it in is literally to jam it. But in a play like that, there's no need to go into the air and try and put extra on it when you're not doing it on a regular basis.
So Campbell hits 1 out of 2. He was fouled by Spencer. That's 3 on Felton Spencer. Knicks with a 37-28 lead on Minnesota. Rivers guarding West. Campbell got the hand on it, also got a piece of Bailey, so the foul is called. Minnesota Timberwolves playing without their #1 draft pick, Christian Laettner, suspended for tonight's game. Missed yesterday's practice here at the Garden, said he had a prior commitment in North Carolina.
I must say, Marv, when he was interviewed in our pregame, his pregame talk with Bruce Beck, he showed no reticence, no regret about missing tonight's game. He just said it was his business decision, and kind of that was that. He just didn't have any regret about missing the game tonight. I was rather surprised at that.
Spencer gets inside, so the Knicks now lead 37-30. I think it's just part of his personality. That's the way Christian comes off, and he has been involved in several incidents, as we detailed right at the start of the telecast. The one of most significance. Rivers went behind the back for Smith. Charles Smith having a difficult time, and Spencer able to wrestle it free. Christian Laettner involved in an incident a week ago last Saturday, game against Houston at home in Minnesota, where he cursed at the Timberwolves assistant coach Chuck Davison, which was not particularly appreciated by the coaching staff. Hubert Davis going to the left hand. Knicks now lead 39-30.
It seemed, Marv, that Laettner misjudged his coach as well. He anticipated a fine based on his conversation with Bruce earlier, but he was surprised that he was suspended. He didn't think he would be suspended.
Well, guys have missed practice in similar situations and only have been fined. And I think that's what he thought, as he said after discussing it, where Rivers thought he had either Campbell or Smith and ends up throwing it away. Christian Laettner telling Bruce Beck that he and his business manager felt that this commitment was made a long time ago. They had to fulfill it, and they take the penalty, which they thought would be a fine, but I think from the point of view of Sidney Lowe's trying to establish himself, he's interim head coach, he was forced into showing that he could take a stand.
Well, he will lose 1/82nd for the 82 games in the NBA of his lofty salary, which is several $1 million. So it will be an expensive game that he missed.
Chris Smith, known to Big East fans locally, rookie from Connecticut, second-round draft pick of Minnesota, has checked in for the first time. UConn's all-time leading scorer. Thurl Bailey lost it, and Mason this time able to put it down.
Well, I think that Sidney Lowe will have a lot to talk about at halftime about how his backcourt is being exposed on these lead passes as the Knicks rebound. They simply don't have enough guard protection. There's no one back to avoid the Knicks throwing those long lead passes for simple layups. It's happened often.
Foul committed by Charles Smith, and we take a break.
In scoring in the paint. The Knicks now outscoring the Timberwolves by 19. And of course, they're dominating the boards as well. Anthony Mason with a free moment. He puts a little something extra on this dunk, and he's used to dunking that ball, so that was no big deal.
Sidney Lowe in communication with the official Louis Grillo. Both coaches checking the foul rundown. For the Knicks, Tony Campbell has 3. Charles Smith with 2. For Minnesota, Felton Spencer with 3. He's the only Timberwolf in trouble. Patrick Ewing returns. Tony Campbell will depart, leaves with 3 points. Chuck Person back on the floor inbounds. This is Chris Smith with it, being guarded by fellow rookie Hubert Davis. 6.5 remaining in the first half. McCann to the left hand, rebounded by Mason. Knicks by 11. It's their biggest lead of the night. Rivers and Davis in the backcourt. Ewing, Smith, and Mason up front. Davis worked his way off a screen, and a foul is called. It's on Smith. So that's the first on Chris Smith. I mentioned he was a second-round draft pick of Minnesota. Second of 3 selections by the T-Wolves on the second round. Ewing. And the call last touched by Minnesota.
Patrick Ewing made up his mind to take that shot, and the defender played him well. He still stayed with it and ended up taking a very difficult off-balance attempt. You know, Marv, lost in the excitement of Starks and Ewing's spectacular performance the other night was the solid play of the rookie Hubert Davis. In 20 minutes, he excelled in the 4th quarter.
And doesn't force the action. Excellent shooter, but does not have to take the shot to be effective. Meanwhile, Charles Smith has been ineffective. 1 of 7 from the floor. McCann with a power move. That his first field goal.
Charles Smith, in the power forward position, couldn't handle that nice move.
The Knicks 41, Timberwolves 32. Nice play by McCann, knocking it away from Mason. It's a pretty good matchup at the other end. Anthony Mason and Bob McCann. McCann goes 6'7", about 250. McCann with it. Spinning Smith to the fadeaway. The Knicks maintaining a 9-point lead. Davis. Here's Smith. And Charles hearing it from the crowd. He's now 1 for 8. Rivers trying to draw the foul. Davis with a steal, putting the move on Smith.
I was wondering if he was going to shoot it. It was 1-on-3, and we were praising him for his presence and good judgment. But he couldn't resist the chance to pop that one up.
Yeah, that is unusual for Hubert Davis, but he felt he had the advantage on Chris Smith. Shot clock at 5. West. Well, ragged play at both ends. The last couple of minutes, that ball knocked out of bounds by the Knicks. Pat Riley with substitutions. John Stark, Charles Oakley, Greg Anthony return. Luke Longley getting set to make his return. Here he comes for Felton Spencer. Luke Longley played for the Australian national team at the Barcelona Olympics. First-round draft pick last year. He was the 7th selection overall. That was the 24-second buzzer. Luke Longley, the first Australian to play in the NBA.
but has had his problems. His club has struggled at the center position. And that is a backcourt violation.
Boy, had to have 2 top 10 picks 2 years in a row, and Felton Spencer and Luke Longley be the choices. Has to be a killer, just a killer, because neither guy has come on.
I could see Felton Spencer as an effective backup on a decent club, or he can play the power forward position at times, depending on the matchups. Here's Longley. Luke showing no touch. Knicks by 9. Not much happening in the last few minutes. 3:40 remaining in the first half.
Which is why Pat Riley's been doing a lot of shuffling.
Longley with the rebound. And here comes Smith. Smith and West in the backcourt. Michael Williams getting set to return. Well, Bob McCann has had some shining moments here in the second quarter, and he's brought Minnesota within 7. Ewing drawing the double team. Oakley had it knocked away. Well, the Knicks have not scored the last 4 minutes and 2 seconds. Luke Longley was called for that foul on the reach-in of Oakley.
Timberwolves working hard at their defense. Well, he tried the right hand, and he was going to continue to try and embarrass Anthony Mason. That'll make a player think about moving when he thinks his pants are going to slide down.
New technique that is being taught by Sidney Lowe and his staff.
Good. Stay right where you are, or you're going to be embarrassed, buddy.
I think Bob McCann and Anthony Mason know each other pretty well from days in the USBL, CBA, local pickup games.
Yes, Anthony only lets guys tug on his pants, so he really knows well.
Knicks by 8. 2:45 remaining in this first half. It has been a dismal second quarter for both clubs.
Pat Riley's furious, wants a 22nd timeout. He is aching over there.
Michael Williams cutting it to a 6-point Knick lead with 2.5 remaining in this first half. A timeout taken by the Knicks.
Tonight in the first half, off a weekend of shuffling players around, got into a little controversy as Larry Johnson, one of the starting forwards on the Eastern Conference All-Star team, played only 16 minutes in the game on Sunday, and Larry was very unhappy afterwards. Larry was so unhappy he threatened to score 80 points against the Knicks next time they play, which will be in April. That'll be interesting. I think we'll bring that up at that time, Marv.
Yes, I think Larry will be surrounded by people asking questions prior to that April meeting.
80.
I can understand his unhappiness, but it is always very difficult when you're trying to divide up the minutes when you're coaching. But I could see the point of Shaquille O'Neal and Larry Johnson unhappy about the fact they did not receive the kind of playing time they had hoped for. Knicks have not scored in almost 5 minutes, did not hit a field goal in nearly 5 minutes. They missed the last 6. Here's Longley, rejected by Ewing.
He had plenty of time to warm up to Patrick. He saw it coming and just had no judgment on deception.
Both clubs shooting poorly in the second quarter. Knicks 4 for 16, Minnesota 6 of 16. Starks was hacked.
I want to point out, too, that Luke Longley is 7'2". So he's 2 inches taller than Ewing. Another look at it. Ewing way up there. There was plenty of time for Ewing to get ready and for Longley to see it coming, and he just misjudged that entirely.
Foul called on McCann, and Starks to the line for the first time.
John Starks, 77% free throw shooter. He's averaging just under 17 per game. As you can see, he's been on a tear. And tonight, John Starks has 13. The Knicks lead 44-36 with a minute and 40 seconds to go first half.
Respect points out that the Knicks have 7 turnovers already in this game. They only had 7 in the entire game in their first meeting with Minnesota.
McCann over Ewing. So the Knicks with the ball, 8-point lead, time winding down in this first half. Here's Ewing. And the Knicks have missed their last 7 field goal attempts.
Well, this is what Pat Riley or any coach fears after that 4 or 5 day layoff due to the All-Star game. Teams lose their touch.
Timberwolves take a 20-second timeout. This program is authorized by Madison Square Garden Productions, Incorporated, solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or the use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this event without the express written consent of Madison Square Garden Productions, Incorporated, is prohibited.
Well, that huddle the Knicks had a little emotion in it. Patrick Ewing slammed a towel down. Knicks have to be frustrated now at their inability to establish a big lead against this inept opponent that they're going against.
Well, John, the Knicks have scored only 12 points in this second quarter. They're low for the year, 13 at Chicago Christmas night. Recall that third quarter where Chicago put the press on and the Knicks were effective. The Knicks have missed their last 7 field goal attempts. They have an 8-point lead. And that pass picked off by Williams. Anthony and Williams in a collision. And the foul is called on Greg Anthony. That's his third.
That's a hard one to understand.
Teams first in the last 2 minutes.
Take another look at it now. Loose ball. Greg Anthony going for the ball. Looks like he might have turned that left hip into Williams.
And Anthony will sit down. Rivers is back. So 3 apiece on Anthony, Campbell, and Smith. Here's Person. What a horrible shooting second quarter this has been. It's a travel on Person.
He did a nice job getting back, though, in a 2-on-1 situation. He was the one, and he succeeded. He hustled back and played 2 men. Very hard to do.
The Knicks have not come up with a field goal in 6.5 minutes. We are down to 31 seconds remaining in the second quarter. The Knicks lead 44-36. Michael Williams deflecting it. The indication by the official Ed Middleton. And Williams got a piece of it. Michael Williams among the NBA leaders in steals, deflecting that one out of bounds. The Knicks have 12 on the shot clock, 19 seconds to go in this first half. Ewing to the drop step hook.
That was beautiful.
So the Knicks finally in a field goal. They went 6 minutes and 49 seconds. And this will not be a new low quarter for the season. The Knicks with 14 points, which is pretty poor. And that's the end of this first half. John, that was the worst second quarter we've seen all season. The Knicks at the half leading the Timberwolves by the score of 46-36. Minnesota with only 13 points in the second quarter. So we had a 14-13 second quarter. If you're playing in the NFL, it's not bad. This is NBA basketball. We'll be back in a moment.
14-1 when Robert Parrish blows a shot inside, intimidated a little by Rick Schmidt, perhaps, out of Marist. And back they come. Schrempf over to Reggie Miller for a three-pointer in the corner. Celtics down big time. They've lost 3 straight overall, 7 straight at Indiana now. College basketball, a game being seen live over our MSG2 service. It's St. John's trailing Georgetown early in the second half tonight. Sean L. Scott sprained his ankle. He is expected to miss only this game, however. Redmond didn't even need him early. They start the game on a 15-6 run. Charles Minland, a freshman out of Africa, hits a three-point shot. John Thompson pacing. Hoyas come back. Joey Brown manages to blow this layup. Robert Churchwell is there to jam home 2 of his 12 first-half points. Hoyas led at halftime 32-31. They have lost 6 of their last 7 games. Seton Hall and Miami underway down south. Tough place to play for anybody in the Big East this year. The Hall has a 2-point lead in the opening half. And in hockey tonight, the Devils and Penguins scoreless at Pittsburgh early second period. Islanders trail the Capitals 1-0. I'll have more right after these messages.
Sports Desk is brought to you by Alamo. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, and with Alamo, all those miles are free.
If you're ever near Durango, Colorado, you will find a road to the sky. Where 100 years ago, men searched for the gold and silver they saw there. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, all across America. And every day, with every car nationwide, only Alamo gives you all those miles for free, including a 70-mile stretch along Route 550 in Colorado that takes you right up to the sky.
Since your face can't adjust to your razor should adjust to your face, which is exactly why we designed the Schick Tracer. The Schick Tracer is the only razor with blades that bend and flex to the unique shape of your face. So the Tracer gets in close for a clean, comfortable shave. And since you can't change your face, maybe you should change your razor. Schick, we're changing the face of shaving.
Sports Desk is brought to you by Schick Tracer, the only razor which flexes to trace every curve on your face.
With George Steinbrenner taking control of the Yankees again on March 1st, today he made himself available to the media. And MSG's Mike Crispino asked if the boss had mellowed any during his suspension.
I don't know that anybody can really say whether they're going to change. There'll be things that I would probably do differently. When you step back from things and see them as they really are, sometimes after 20 years at something, you get too close to the woods to see the trees. Maybe stepping back for a couple years will enable me to do some things differently than I did, do some things that I didn't do at all, or do nothing where I did something. Maybe those things will happen. But one thing will not change, and that's my intense desire to win.
More with Steinbrenner during live from the play-by-play right after the Knicks game. Back to Bruce at courtside in a moment.
If I buy an affordable sedan like Sentra, I expect a few necessities.
How about over 35 standard features?
And I expect a few luxuries.
Air conditioning, cruise control, AM/FM cassette.
Of course, I expect it to be fun to drive.
Would 110 horsepower help?
Hey, with that much car, what more could I expect?
How about a $169 a month lease?
And just $169 down? Now that I didn't expect.
Nissan, it's time to expect more from a car.
You're looking sharp. You come so far. And we know how to make the most of who you are.
Only Gillette Sensor has spring-mounted twin blades that adjust to your face. A shave this close, this safe was never this easy. Sensor. And now there's Gillette Shaving Gel with advanced lubricants for an incredibly smooth shave.
Gillette, the best of
My brakes started squeaking, so I called the dealer. He said bring them by Thursday. Next Thursday.
Midas can fix your brakes right the same day you bring in your car.
I went to Midas that day, and I got my brakes fixed that day.
Midas, because your brakes can't wait.
With room, touched in, knocked over the defenseman, he scored! What a goal by Tom!
Relive the most unforgettable moments in history. Introducing 10 Days That Shook the World.
a commemorative set of 10 newspapers as originally published by the New York Times. Experience firsthand the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Read the actual newspaper accounts of Custer's last stand. Witness the end of the Civil War. Call now to order these collector's editions that actually make history come to life. The dramatic sinking of the Titanic. World War II's VE Day. The assassination of JFK. Be there as the course of history was changed forever when the first atomic bomb was dropped on Japan. Celebrate the historic day the first man walked on the moon. You'll receive 10 complete issues of the New York Times just as they came off the presses. 10 days that shook the world.
Call now to order this unique commemorative set of 10 newspapers for 2 easy payments of $19.95 plus shipping. Call 1-800-848-1700. That's 1-800-848-1700.
Knicks lead the T-Wolves by 10 points at the half. And a leading scorer summary brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. Patrick Ewing, 13 in the first, 2 in the second. John Starks, 11 in the first, 2 in the second to lead the Knicks. And on the other side, Chuck Person, who missed his last 6 points, had no points in the second, but 11 for the first half of play. Bruce Beck with Walt Clyde Frazier, and there's no doubt, Clyde, that first half was a lesson in how not to play basketball.
Yeah, good game for insomniacs, Bruce. But the Knicks have had a propensity for playing this way against the lower echelon teams. Normally they take control of the game around the third quarter by the good intensity of their defense.
Well, there weren't many highlights in the first half of play, but there were a couple of good individual moves. And the highlights are brought to you by Minolta, creators of the world's most responsive SLR cameras, the new Maxim XI series. Well, Starks and Ewing have been doing it together the last couple of weeks, Clyde.
And they continue to thrive, this time in transition. So John Starks has really improved his assists, and Patrick Ewing has been indefensible, this time wheeling, dealing off the right side.
You know, the Knicks scoring has really picked up over the past 10 games, and one of the reasons they get into transition better.
Right, because of the good defense, they've been able to exploit the teams on the offensive end. So remember, Charles Smith recently missed the dunk shot, but this time Mason made sure with the good stuff.
And he did it with the right hand. Now let's watch Person and Luke Longley hook up.
Yeah, Luke Longley, 7'2", 265, denied by Ewing. Person, live and in person, this time from downtown. So he has been a good lethal shooter from the perimeter.
So a dreadful first half at the Garden, but the Knicks have to feel good at least the fact they have the lead. We'll take a short break. More activities from MSG coming up.
When tonight's game ends, the play-by-play begins. Join me, Mike Francesa, for the biggest stars and the best in sports.
In the first quarter, 5 of 13, and the Knicks were on fire, 15 of 24. The Knicks led 32-23 after 1, but the second quarter was dismal. Timberwolves 6 for 19. The Knicks 5 of 18. The Knicks with 14 points. The Timberwolves with 13 in the second. The Knicks did have the overall edge off the backboard.
Well, the big problem for the Knicks again is forward scoring. Oakley and Smith combining 2 for 11 in the first half.
Knicks went nearly 7 minutes without scoring a field goal in that second quarter. So the second half is underway. It was kicked out of bounds. It will be Minnesota ball.
A Midas bench breakdown. The Knicks leading in that department. The bench of the Wolves not doing anything. 1 out of 7. That was a positive number for the Knicks in the first half. Their bench shooting 5 out of 9.
The Knicks with a 10-point lead. McCann will go to the foul line. He was fouled by Oakley for Charles, his second. So Bob McCann, who started tonight in place of the suspended Christian Laettner, will shoot a couple. He's 2 for 2 from the line. For those who may have just tuned in, Christian Laettner suspended for 1 game after missing practice here at the Garden. Yesterday, missed a mandatory team practice. There's Christian taking it in, John, as you like to say in cities.
Costly evening for Laettner.
He was at the T-Wolves shoot-around this morning at the Garden, and will be back in uniform
for the game tomorrow night at home against Seattle. Ewing. Patrick Ewing giving too much room. The Knicks now lead 48-38. It will be Nick Ball.
Williams looking up court at Person, who did not have his eyes ready to receive. He had his back to the passer. That is always the forward's fault. Person's an experienced pro. He should know better.
Charles Smith had a very rough first half, 1 for 8 from the field. As we look at the individual shooting in the first half, that's Doug West, who is now 3 for 7. It counts as a foul. John Starks. So Starks with 15 points. He's hit 6 of 9.
Charles Oakley threw that lead pass to Starks, who burst by the defense. Starks is so good at creating openings for himself. One man in front of him does not discourage him. He just has the ability and the attitude to burst by anyone.
What a game by John Starks in the Knicks' last outing before the All-Star break against Charlotte on Wednesday. Career high 39 points, 13 of 21. Also had 13 assists. The Knicks lead by 11. This matches their biggest lead of the game. McCann. West could not convert. And back comes Anthony. Anthony with a hesitation dribble. Rebounded by Smith. And the Knicks will regroup. Ewing hit. Williams and Spencer on the double team. And it's called on Felton Spencer. That is his 4th foul.
Excuse me, Marv. Sidney Lowe talking to his consultants there. Jim Brewer, one of them, his assistant coach.
And McCann comes up with the loose ball. The Knicks lead by 11. 2 minutes gone by, third quarter. Well, the poor Timberwolves shooting continues here in the third. And a foul call. It's on West. That is his first. Doug West will sit down. And here is Lance Blanks making his first appearance of the night. Lance Blanks, #1 draft pick of Detroit. Spent 2 years with the Pistons. Did not see much action out of the University of Texas. It is another Knick turnover, so the ball goes back to Minnesota. The Detroit Pistons were hoping that Lance Blanks would make it as a point guard. He did not. And he's being used here as the shooting guard with Michael Williams at the point guard position. Luke Longley getting set to return. Foul call on Smith. That's 3 on Smith. There's Longley. And Felton Spencer will depart. Spencer with 3 points. So it's Person, McCann, and Longley up front with Williams and Blanks in the backcourt. They double up on Williams. Person from deep. Oh, the bad shooting continues. Foul committed by Person. Battling for position with Smith. That's the first for Person.
Chuck Person always loves to play here at Madison Square Garden, and he's lost the touch now, but he did have happy memories earlier of his 47-point game here in 1989. Also had his career high, which was his career high, also had a career high 18 rebounds in 1987 here at the Garden.
And Person called for the foul again, flashing the elbow. The Rifleman spent 6 years with the Indiana Pacers. Recent seasons, often the focal point of
trade speculation finally last September dealt along with Michael Williams in that trade for Pooh Richardson and Sam Mitchell.
One relief.
For Charles Smith, that is only his 3rd point.
Charles is looking desperately for positive contributions to make now after that poor shooting first half.
For the Knicks, their biggest lead of the game. 3 minutes gone by in the 3rd quarter. Person works off the screen, feeds Longley, who was stopped by Oakley, and he's called for a double dribble.
Boy, if you're Sidney Lowe or Jack McCloskey, the general manager of the Timberwolves, you know this guy needs nothing but work. He almost looks as though he doesn't belong here. There is nothing positive that he does. He's just a big guy at 7'2".
McCann jumped out and that was called for the reach-in. That's the second for McCann. And the Timberwolves are now over the foul limit. Here's Thurl Bailey back, replacing Luke Longley. So Sidney Lowe has decided now to go with a shorter front line. He's Bailey, McCann, and Person.
Thurl Bailey's a player. I mean, he's only playing 20 minutes a game for this team this year, but the guy is a capable guy at 6'11". He can score, he can pass, he can do things pro athletes do. Longley is a long-term project.
So the Knicks now lead by 14. Thurl Bailey, not the same player, though, that you saw in Utah. He's on the downside. It's his 10th season in the NBA, and on the thin side at 6'11", listed at 230 pounds, so very tough for him to go up against some of the bigger centers. McCann is being guarded by Ewing. McCann, it counts, and he drew the foul.
Well, don't ever say that visiting teams don't get the call. He took some skip before the shot attempt, but didn't get called. This is a painful play for McCann, however. You see, he's having a difficult time shaking off the floor impact. Now that right ankle, if we look at him now, watch the skip now. Whoa! That right ankle might keep him out of the game. If he can't shoot the foul, he will leave the game. Another look at McCann getting the benefit of a generous official.
And McCann is headed back to the bench, hoping to shake it off.
6.
Why did Hertz invent #1 club goal service? To beat the rush hour. See, every plane and everybody seems to land at once. But with goal service, there's no stopping at the counters and no paperwork. Instead, you go nonstop to your waiting car with your name in lights. Only Hertz has #1 club gold. The best reason yet why Hertz beats the rush hour. To Hertz, the rest of the day is a piece of cake.
When I wanted a mini system, I looked at the situation logically. I wanted high tech and high power, but I didn't want high price. Logically, that said 2 things to me. Iowa and nobody beats the Wiz.
You looked at it logically? Did you know the Iowa Mini Max had a double cassette? Did you know you could change 2 CDs while one is playing? And who took you to Nobody Beats the Wiz? Yeah, you looked at it logically.
The Iowa Mini Max had Nobody Beats the Wiz. The logical choice in home entertainment.
You're not. A real winner knows how to party right. Please use good sense when you drink and know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser. Coca-Cola for you guys. Bob McCann shook it off. Back to shoot the foul after making that basket.
Bob McCann has played well. He has 10 points. 4 for 4 from the line, and he is not usually a good free throw shooter. Trying to complete a 3-point play with 8:18 remaining, 3rd quarter. That one way off.
Pat Riley staying with Greg Anthony. John Starks in the backcourt. Here's pressure by Minnesota. Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing, Charles Smith up front. Smith, yes. Well, Charles Smith, after going 1 for 8, is able to hit early in the third quarter. The Knicks by 15. Marv Albert, John Andres, Bruce Beck, Walt Clyde Frazier from Madison Square Garden. The Knicks in the midst of a 9-2 run. They had a horrible shooting second quarter. At one stretch went nearly 7 minutes without a field goal. Lance Blanks just did beat the 24. The Knicks 57. The Timberwolves 44. Blanks had come out just a moment ago. That's his first field goal.
Let him run. Hello.
Shot clock at 6. Anthony rejected by Blanks. Very impressive.
Very impressive display of defense by the T-Wolves here. They're hustling hard, matching up well, and the Knicks are trying to respond by passing the ball. And they are doing a good job of passing it, but what a play by Blanks.
Shot clock at 2. Oakley. Rebound, Ewing. 19 for Ewing. Knicks lead by 15. Felton Spencer has checked back in, replacing Bob McCann.
Boy, when a guy gets a rebound like that and puts it up, I don't know where Felton Spencer was, but he wasn't thinking about his man Ewing.
And we're told Bob McCann is headed back to the locker room. Spencer fouled on the play. Bob McCann injured in taking the ball to the hoop just moments ago, able to hit. And then Minnesota called for the timeout, allowing McCann to rest and shoot the free throw, but he's back in the locker room. Patrick Ewing called for the last foul. Tomorrow night will be in Milwaukee at the Bradley Center, the Knicks and the Bucks. And we'll be on the air starting with Knicks game night at 8. Tip-off time around 8:35. Start of a 3-game road trip for the Knicks. Tomorrow at Milwaukee, Friday in Detroit, and then Sunday afternoon it's the Knicks and the New Jersey Nets from the Meadowlands. Knicks play 8 of the last 12 games in February on the road, so they're closing out that stretch. Here's Starks for 3. Ewing on the back tap. Smith with the fake. Rebounded by Spencer.
Charles has a problem Greg Anthony has, only at his size you think it wouldn't be as tough, and that is finishing plays around the basket.
Three-pointer by Chuck Person. That's his second from downtown tonight. Knicks 59, the Timberwolves 48. Anthony picked up on the switch by Bailey. Here's Smith. The Knicks now lead 61-48. 8 points for Smith.
Charles is a very effective shooter standing still. So he's often the beneficiary of, after several passes, he'll get the ball for an open shot. He's very good at that.
And Spencer hits the floor, helped up by Bailey. Foul on Ewing, his 4th. Oakley raised his hand, tried to draw that call, but that is number 4 on Ewing.
Harv, you mentioned the Knick record and what they face in the upcoming games. Right now, it's their best record. They now enjoy their best record since the 72-73 season, now at 34-16. But over their next 11 games, 7 at home and 4 against teams with winning records. So that's a much more favorable schedule than the Knicks faced last year after the All-Star break, when they went into a swan dive and won only 5 of their next 12 games.
Knicks now lead 61-49. Well, look at the schedule this week. Minnesota tonight, Milwaukee tomorrow, Detroit on Friday, and then a very difficult ball game. John Starks with 20 points. The Knicks now lead by 14. A major test Sunday. It has developed into a fierce rivalry when the Knicks take on the Nets.
Yes, the Nets are one of the 4 teams with 500 records or better that the Knicks will be facing. The other 3 are here.
Oh, Blanks and Starks get involved. Lance Blanks and John Starks looking to go. And Mike Mathis trying to cool Blanks down.
Blanks trying to cool Mathis down.
Yeah, he's trying to give the impression that he's settled down.
Looks like Blanks was rubbing his mouth like he was hit there.
And the officials over at the scorer's table. Let's see how they deal with it. Double technical on Starks and Blanks.
And they're both ejected.
And they have been ejected. Well, it's certainly a good exchange from the Minnesota point of view.
Question is, did they throw punches? The officials are so sensitive now after that incident with Reggie Miller and Michael Jordan recently.
Well, from the naked eye, we'll get a look at the replay in a moment. This was much less severe than what took place. You can't even compare Reggie Miller and Michael Jordan, but you have to figure that memos were distributed.
This is the lightest case for ejection I've ever seen.
40 yard number 44, David Davis, replaces John Starks.
So Starks and Blanks have been ejected.
Try and get one of the officials over here, Marv, when we can for their interpretation.
Well, I could understand this if from now on, particularly when major stars are involved, that they get the thumb as quickly as Starks and Blanks. I mean, that's like
imagine that happening.
Nah, that was.
Imagine that happening.
I think that was ridiculous that they're both thrown out for that. Mason. And the Knicks now lead 65-51. You know what this does? It makes the Jordan thing look even more absurd to see this, what just occurred. We're down to 4:20 remaining in the third quarter. And Chuck Person has relocated the touch. He has 18. The Knicks by 12. Here's Mason, and he's fouled. A hard foul. Offensive foul. They say that Mason used the right hand to push off.
Well, Chuck Person's a very physical, fiery player, so he might step it up here himself now. He likes to consider himself the leader of this team.
Just under 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Michael Williams cuts it to a Knick 10-point lead. And this game is becoming a bit more intriguing. Patrick Ewing has picked up 4 fouls. John Starks, who had scored 20 points, ejected, along with Lance Blanks. Here's Hubert Davis, who just came on. For Davis' second field goal, he's hit 2 out of 3. The Knicks now lead 67-55. Person, strong move. Oakley with the rebound.
Oh, wide by him.
Oh, what a play by Charles Oakley. And the steal by Williams. Came up with air on that pass. Timeout is called. Knicks take the timeout. 3:07 remaining in this third quarter. We'll take another look at that Starks-Blanks confrontation when we come back.
Under the basket, you'll see John Starks going right to left. Keep your eye on him and the bouncing that takes place. He fights over a pick. Blanks bumps him once. Blanks bumps into Ewing. Starks reacts with a shove of Blanks, and that led to a reaction between the two of them with shoving as opposed to punching from our viewpoint. that got them both ejected. A very heavy price by the officials.
And Mason with a strong move to extend to a 69-55 lead. Once a clear-cut punch is thrown, whether the player lands or does not, it is automatic ejection. We saw that with that Manute Bol Anthony Mason incident earlier this season. That's West. Doug West, with his fourth field goal, has 11 points in all. The Knicks by 12, but from what we saw, it did not appear as if a clear-cut punch was thrown. Seemed to be flailing and bumping. But it was the decision made by the officials that both players should be ejected. Anthony shoots.
Ed Middleton and Mike Mathis, too, veteran officials, along with Louis Grillo.
The Knicks with a 12-point lead, 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Here's Thurl Bailey, lost it.
Boy, Mason played him tough. He did the maximum allowable in the eyes of the officials by bumping Bailey before he went up for the shot. No foul called on him.
Late block called on West. So the Knicks get the new 24. Tony Campbell returns. Charles Oakley sits down. Charles Oakley with 6 assists tonight. That equals a season high at 6 against Golden State back in early February.
Williams is so incredibly quick and anticipates stealing the ball as he did then. That's why he's in the top 10 in that department in the NBA.
Now West with a post-up move. Rebounded by Mason. Davis for 3. Bob McCann is back on the floor. He's up front with Thurl Bailey and Chuck Person. Doug West, Michael Williams in the backcourt. We come up on 1 minute remaining in this third quarter. Shot clock at 3. Williams. Mason looking for position on Person. Throws an air ball. Half minute left in the third quarter. Person for 3. Back comes Campbell. Puts the speed on. Good play by Williams to knock it away.
Tony didn't use that left hand on the dribble. Take another look at that incident that got Starks thrown out. And Lance Blanks.
More of a flailing motion. I guess the interpretation of the official was that it constituted a punch. I didn't note Blanks throwing anything.
Nothing.
And you can certainly debate that move by Starks. I think they got hurt by the Michael Jordan, Reggie Miller fight and the aftermath.
Yes, by the fact that Jordan was ejected from the game, was not ejected, excuse me, Reggie Miller was on his home court, and then Jordan, upon review of the incident by Rod Thorne of the NBA, was suspended for a game. And it was like a post-game reaction instead of an on-the-spot reaction. So tonight the officials were aggressive in their judgment.
Williams for that final second drive. Well done by Michael Williams. It's the Knicks 71 and the Timberwolves 59 as we head to the fourth.
Bruce Beck back at the Garden with MSG college basketball analyst Bucky Waters, also the former coach at Duke. And what's the story with Christian Laettner? Is he really as arrogant as he appears, Buck?
I don't know. He had a sort of a split personality at Duke, but he put a lot of numbers up on the board. I think a lot of it was just maturity. What happened here tonight's really unexplainable. His agent was up in the box with us, flew up with him today from Charlotte, and he couldn't understand why he wasn't playing. So obviously that's a communication problem. I happen to think Christian's going to have a fine pro career, and I don't know what happened today, but Jack McCluskey, the general manager of Minnesota, was my high school coach, and I know he's not going to put up with any foolishness.
Did you take the abuse that John takes from Marv?
No, actually, I had a good insurance policy and a good lawyer, and I took him as far as I could, Bruce. And then, you know, with you and I are a career now, and besides, after a break, he's especially tough. I see that Andres is wearing a tourniquet tonight.
All right, back to Marv.
Thanks, Bruce. Bucky with a very, very strong statement. He feels Christian Laettner will have a fine pro career. As Doug West hits, and a technical foul has been indicated by Louis Grillo. It's called on Anthony Mason.
Anthony swiping at West as he went through. It would appear to have been a verbal incident by Mason. It's hard to judge.
Oh, Louis Grillo right in front of us telling Anthony Mason, you stay on my case, you can say good night, as Mason persisted. And going after Grillo, you saw Doug West hit the technical. And illegal defense now called. If you stay on my case, you can say good night.
Well, Mason missed West. He comes up in a mini headlock there for a moment. West looking for help, and he got it from the official.
The Knicks 73 and the Timberwolves 62. Opening minute, fourth quarter. And that was lost.
You know, that replay, Marv, is an example why sometimes you need two looks at a play. And that's also an example of where an official will see something that the camera won't be able to communicate on the first replay.
Doc Rivers turning it over on a double dribble. West and Mason with the rebound. Davis got trapped. Smith. And Mason was pushed. He was looking for a foul call. That prompted the crowd reaction. Here's West. Doug West has been hitting from outside. He now has 16 points. Good setup from Chris Smith. And the Timberwolves hanging in now, trailing by 9.
Oh, it's time for the Knicks to reward this what appears to be sellout crowd with some good play.
Mason. And the foul is called. It is another Knicks sellout, better than 19,000 on hand. Foul was called on Smith. So the Knicks have sold out 25 of the 27 home games. They're 22-4 here at the Garden. They've won 5 straight, 8 of the last 9 at home.
But the Knicks have not given their fans enough chance to vocalize. You know, when you're a loyal fan, you want to cheer and get some exercise as you're sitting there with your lungs. But the Knicks haven't rewarded this loyalty thus far with good play.
Knicks by 10. Anthony Mason, 14 points, 9 rebounds. The Knicks 75, Minnesota 64. Second and final meeting of the season between the Knicks and the Timberwolves. Rivers picking up the loose ball. Smith. Fouled by Spencer. That's 5 on Felton Spencer. And Chuck Person getting set to return. In the earlier meeting in Minneapolis, the Knicks won easily 99-78 back on the 25th of November. Knicks have now won 5 of 7 lifetime against the Timberwolves. Luke Longley and Chuck Person replacing Felton Spencer. And Doug West sits down.
On that first meeting, Patrick Ewing was the key man, 30 points. 15 field goals, nothing from the line, but Ewing limited with his playing time tonight because of 4 fouls earlier. He's been sitting for quite a spell.
And while the Knicks now have a 13-point lead, checking the scoreboard, the Nets are trailing Charlotte in the fourth quarter by 19 points coming into tonight. The Knicks 4.5 over second place New Jersey. Smith spinning Longley and is fouled.
Cannot believe Charles's frustrations when he gets around the basket. It's like it's unbelievable.
Foul committed by Longley. Right here, let's go over to Bob Page.
Marv at Landover tonight. That's David Kane with the basketball. Down to Lamont Middleton in the low post. A big hoop for him en route to 19 points. St. John's goes up 5 in the late going. Holds on for another win. This time over Georgetown.
All right, Bob. Well, the Hoyas continue to have their difficulties this season. Charles Smith on the line. And hits on both. He's 6 for 6 from the line. Smith now with 12 points. He has shot only 3 of 12, hit 1 of his first 8. Timeout is called by the Timberwolves. 9:23 remaining in this fourth quarter.
When we were doing our open tonight, we took a foul from Chuck Person. He gave us a little clobber to get us ready for this game in his fun-like way.
Here's Campbell. Yes. The one-time Minnesota Timberwolves, Tony Campbell, extends to an 81-67 lead. Campbell 3 out of 5, 7 points in all. It has been a long rest period for Patrick Ewing after he collected his 4th foul. Rivers called for his 3rd, second team foul by the Knicks. As Ewing, 19 points. Here's Chris Smith. Chris Smith, second-round draft pick from Connecticut. All Big East first team as a senior. Campbell had it knocked away. He thought he was fouled. 4 minutes gone by in the fourth. Knicks lead by 12. Go. Patrick Ewing getting set to check in now. He sat out for about 10 minutes. McCann had it deflected. Mason hit the official in the back. Now, wait a second. If he had hit Grillo, we would not have had a problem. He and Lewis were going at it earlier, but he got Ed Middleton accidentally. Patrick Ewing returns.
But you'll note the official as we look from our overhead camera. The official is alive, so had he been able to retrieve that ball, it would have been okay, even though the ball bounced off the official.
John, I know back in your days in Brooklyn, you played dodgeball. You try to hit the guy with the ball. There's Anthony showing his best move. Ed Middleton is out. Here's Smith. And Ewing with the rebound. Mason. Oh, what a move, Anthony. Mason showing quickness, beating McCann off the dribble.
Mighty impressive.
The Knicks 83, Timberwolves 69. They double up. Smith getting it from Person, then returning. Traveling violation. So Person called for the travel.
He took some banging before he was called for the violation. Get a look at it now. Rivers from behind. Ewing comes over. And he committed the traveling violation.
Michael Williams, Doug West return for Minnesota. West all over Rivers. They try to double up. Here's Davis open. Yes. The rookie from North Carolina, Hubert Davis, with his 3rd bucket. bucket. He has 6. The Knicks 85, the Wolves 69. And a timeout is called by Minnesota. 6:27 remaining in the fourth.
After weeknight Nick and Ranger home games, catch Sports Talk, sports news, and much more live from the play-by-play.
So Eric Anderson has been reactivated. Blackman will be out several weeks. See the decisive edge by the Knicks off the boards. And earlier tonight, as Williams spins away from Davis and hits, the Knicks now lead 87-73. Christian Leitner was suspended. So he is sitting out tonight's game. He had started all 47 games for Minnesota. He had missed a mandatory team practice here at the Garden yesterday. 1-game suspension. Leitner will return for the game tomorrow night at home in Minneapolis against Seattle.
And also, late breaking news, John Starks was ejected in the second half in a incident with Lance Blanks, a very sensitive call by the officials as they got into a scuffle, and they were both ejected.
Foul call against the Knicks. Patrick Ewing with his 5th foul.
Looking at the players on the floor for the Knicks, Marv, I can't help but think as I look at Hubert Davis and Mason out there and Doc Rivers. John Starks is missing when you think of that exciting finale to the game in Charlotte the other night, as he was spectacular with his contributions with assists and points, career highs in both departments. But Hubert Davis and Doc Rivers was sensational also in their contributions. Rivers with 4 steals in that fourth quarter.
Starks tonight 7 for 11, 20 points. In fact, he is still the high man for the Knicks. Illegal defense called. That is a technical foul. Second infraction. Second call against the Knicks.
Well, that's what a pick means. It delays your ability to get to the man you're guarding. That was Person who separated Davis from his man.
So Michael Williams hits the technical. Knicks 87, Timberwolves 74. This is a Minnesota Timberwolves team that last year went 15-67, finishing last in the Midwest. Only one player, this man with the ball, Doug West, at 52%, finished at better than 50% from the field. Holding foul on Campbell. 4 on Campbell. The Knicks with their 4th team foul. Minnesota this season has won 12 and lost 35. It appears that they will surpass last year's 15-win season. And Williams with a 3-pointer. Michael Williams hits a 3. So Minnesota creeping back. They're down by 10. Knicks have led by as many as 16. 3:15 to go in the game. Rivers. Campbell on the recovery.
7-foot Spencer standing right there. Tony Campbell out fighting him for the ball. Actually, he was the only one fighting. Spencer was just there.
Williams slicing through, and he was bumped.
That last move, see Campbell inside, has the great position. And Tony Campbell gets the job done.
Michael Williams at the line.
Michael Williams to the foul line. He was hit by Hubert Davis.
Marv, Thursday, once again, it'll be interesting to see if teams like Minnesota make any trades. One just happened, though, was announced today. Seattle trading Benoit Benjamin and their unsigned draft choice Doug Christie from Pepperdine for Sam Perkins of the Lakers. Seems to be there might be more happening in the next day or so around the league.
I would think so. You know, Jerry West has made so many outstanding moves, and I certainly understand the desire to make the deal for Doug Christie, but you wanted Benoit Benjamin.
It's rumored that the Lakers might trade him, and he said, no, we want him here as a basketball player. Well, this will be West's supreme challenge as the general manager to get the coaching staff to snap him into line, which has never been done.
Michael Williams for the foul, putting Tony Campbell on the line. At one consistent stretch that Benoit Benjamin has is the season he was playing for his contract. And he did demonstrate what he could do when motivated.
Well, the other interesting thing, I believe, it will be if Dallas can make a deal so that Jimmy Jackson can be traded to a team that it works out for. It'd be nice to see him in the league and not let a year go by.
89-79, Knicks by 10. Williams. Not a smart play because that might have gone. Mason called for a foul. Again, Williams to the line. Right here, let's get back to Bob Page.
Marv at Orlando now. Magic with a basketball. Scott Skiles will get it to Jeff Turner. He hits a jump shot and gets the call to put the Magic up 17 in the third quarter over the Portland Trailblazers, now 12 in the fourth. Back to you.
All right, Bob, Orlando coming into tonight 8.5 behind the Knicks in fourth place in the Atlantic half game, behind the third place Boston Celtics. Celtics lost tonight to Indiana 113-86. And the Knicks lead is cut to 8. They led by as many as 16, 2.5 remaining in the game. A 10-2 run by the Timberwolves, who now go to pressure. One of those games where you never had the feeling that the Knicks were in any jeopardy at all, but the Timberwolves have it down to an 8-point deficit. Shot clock at 5. Mason.
They're playing excellent half-court defense, not allowing the Knicks a good shot.
2 minutes.
Just under 2 minutes remaining in the game. Spencer.
Patrick Ewing wanted no part of him. He actually bent over so he wouldn't get called for a foul. Patrick has to make a judgment now. He's got to get out there and be somewhat aggressive. He's got to be present, and he's been invisible since getting that fifth.
12-2 run by Minnesota. Minute 45 left in this fourth quarter. Here's Campbell. Loose ball foul against the Knicks.
Looks like Mason on a push.
That is 4 on Mason. Knicks over the limit.
Right of the screen, Anthony Mason, not with the inside position, bumped Thurl Bailey.
And Bailey, a good free throw shooter, 86% for the season. Thurl Bailey, 8 years with Utah. This is second season with Minnesota. Acquired from the Jazz along with a second-round draft pick in the deal for Tyrone Corbin. He's cut it to a 5-point lead and a timeout taken. Minute 40 to go.
Every year for 9 years, Schick has brought to college campuses the world's toughest half-court 3-on-3 intramural tournament. Play nice now.
If it's out there, it's in here. The 9X Yellow Pages. Why would anyone need another?
In 90 years as a truck company, we've learned the value of anti-lock brakes and all-wheel drive traction to help carry your family safely through all of life's little ups and downs. GMC truck, the strength of experience.
My name is Sean Ryans. If you need anything in home entertainment, nobody beats the Wiz.
1:40 left in this game. The Timberwolves have moved to within 5. However, our Old Spice leaders show that the expansion Minnesota Timberwolves are the least effective with a winning percentage of the 4 expansion teams, but you can't tell the Knicks that right now because they are struggling to get by the Timberwolves. We've got to keep our eye on Chuck Person, one of the NBA's best three-point shooters. He's made 65 this season. If he goes into a three-point contest right now, he could really do it.
14-2 run by Minnesota. Off the double team, Rivers nearly lost it. Minute and a half to go, 4th quarter. At one point, the Knicks led 87-71. Shot clock at 5. Ewing, yes. Clutch field goal for Patrick Ewing to give the Knicks a 91-85 lead.
Well, Pat Riley called his number the other day in the All-Star game with 8 seconds to go. Patrick came through, making his coach look really good. And that was a clutch jumper with 1:20 left on the clock. Patrick with the shorter man in front of him until Spencer arrived a little late. Cans that baby.
First 4th quarter points for Patrick Ewing, who sat for about 10 minutes because of the foul trouble. Minnesota now with 1 full timeout, 1:20 remaining. Knicks have 2 full timeouts and a 20. 1:20 to go in this 4th quarter. The Knicks have a 6-point lead.
Well, Knick fans can win a trip for 2 to St. Croix, including a day with Walt Clyde Frazier in the, ready for this, Bouncing and Pronouncing with Clyde contest, presented by the U.S. Virgin Islands and Continental Airlines. To enter, send an audio tape with your imitation of Clyde, Bouncing and Pronouncing to Bouncing and Pronouncing with Clyde, box JAF 3210, New York, New York, 10116. Clyde is cool now. He's not bouncing or pronouncing during this interim break.
That's because they're in commercial time. Resting. Measuring his words for the stretch run. A timeout situation. I don't know. Maury Povich, Connie Chung leaving late 3rd quarter. Got a bad choice on that. Then again, maybe not. This game has been one of the less fascinating of the season. Greg Gumbel, though, hanging in.
Nervous? Oh, is Greg nervous about the outcome of this?
It's a game that saw a total of 27 points combined, scored by both clubs in the 2nd quarter. Knicks at 14, Minnesota 13. It has not been a stirring contest. Michael Williams, but a good finish. The Knicks lead is down to 4 and a 10 remaining in the 4th quarter. Knicks led by as many as 16 just moments ago. Knicks trying to use as much of the clock as possible. Williams knocked it away. Doc Rivers upset. Foul is called. Doc Rivers trying to get it back. Michael Williams is so quick. Had that time perfectly. That was out of the pages of Walt Clyde Frazier.
Well, that's what Doc Rivers does so well himself, but Williams is one of the league leaders in stealing the ball. So much so that he was often criticized by Bob Hill, his coach at Indiana. The feeling was that that's all he thought about was stealing the ball. He wasn't really staying with his man.
11 for 12, 12 for 13 from the line. It's a 2-point Knick lead. Down to 2 with 50 seconds remaining, 4th quarter. Ewing, yes. So the Knicks by 4. Well, that's one of those shots. Had he missed it, he would have faced criticism. 13 remaining on the 24, but he hit it, and the Knicks have a 4-point lead.
And that was dinner for our favorite food critic?
Everything was wonderful.
Something else to drink, monsieur?
Yes,
Make it a Bud Light, please.
I'm sorry, monsieur. We have run out.
Really? Well, that does change things a bit, doesn't it?
If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Billy's Chili. Quaint atmosphere,
Is that a tip or did you just lose some change?
charming service.
Across the universe, people are asking, what fiend would steal Air Jordans?
Oh, goody! More Air Jordans for me!
Pebble Beach!
This is no way for a Pamper superstar to travel.
What the shoes?
And they're all mine.
Give me those Air Jordans.
No, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, no, hat, no, hat, no. Take these or else.
Saved by a clever edit. Things seem bleak for our heroes. Wait, a giant pencil with an equally giant eraser. I smell trouble. I smell popcorn.
You got better popcorn?
Eat it while it's hot.
Eat it while it's better.
Our heroes have made the world safe for truth, justice.
And Mike's royalty tips from Nike.
That's all, folks.
That's my flying and slide. It says so in my deal.
Jeez, what a cake.
Patrick Ewing with 2 clutch jump shots to give the Knicks a 93-89 lead. 42 3/10 seconds remaining fourth quarter.
Now, if the Timberwolves knew Patrick Ewing would not drive, Spencer would have been up harsher on him. But Ewing was afraid to drive. He doesn't want the 6th foul. But he hit the big one.
Person will inbound. Williams working on Rivers, used the pick effectively. And Rivers rescues. Foul is called. Michael Williams has been the story for the Timberwolves here in the fourth quarter. Thurl Bailey on that foul. Williams with 16 of his 27 points in the fourth quarter. Michael Williams in his 5th season out of Baylor has come up strong. He's had a couple of key steals to help Minnesota get back into it. And Doc Rivers missing on his first attempt. Rivers an 87% foul shooter.
Williams had 27 in his prior game as well after missing 2.
He was out with a groin pull. Made it back for the game against Sacramento. Knicks 94, Wolves 89. Half-minute remaining in the fourth quarter. Rivers got a piece of it. Spencer set a pick. Williams for 3. Williams on the rebound. Sets up Bailey. Michael Williams all over the court. And the lead is down to 3. Pressure by Minnesota with 11 and 9/10 seconds to go in this fourth quarter. The foul is given. So the Knicks back to the line. And Spencer has fouled out.
Well, Greg Anthony has sat the entire fourth quarter in favor of Doc Rivers. Doc finished the game in Charlotte in dramatic fashion last Thursday. Or Wednesday, rather. And has gotten the fourth quarter call again tonight.
Minnesota down to 1 timeout, a 20-second timeout. Knicks have 2 full and a 20. Knicks by 4. So Campbell hits 1 out of 2. It is a 4-point Knick lead, and the Timberwolves use their final timeout. It's a 20 with 11 and 3/10 seconds to go. In this fourth quarter, Patrick Ewing and Chuck Person with some parting words.
Patrick trying his trash talk response. Person yapping away now, draws Ewing's attention.
A little bump.
It's all in fun. That's what he did to us before the game, that Person. He's a rough guy.
And you turned, went right after him. That right hand just did graze him.
Told him I wanted a piece of him.
Yeah. So Minnesota using its final timeout. Sensational performance by Michael Williams. Tied his season high with 27, 16 of the 27 here in in the fourth quarter. 4-point Knick lead. 11 and 3/10 seconds to go. Person couldn't find anybody. Now Williams on the inbounds. Here's Person for 3 and beyond. Final seconds. Person again. And that is it. So the Knicks escaped with a 4-point victory after leading big throughout, leading by as many as 16 here in the fourth quarter, and they hang on for the win to sweep the season series 2-zip over Minnesota. The Knicks have now won 10 of their last 11. They go to 35 and 16, and with the Nets losing to Charlotte, the Knicks are now 5.5 in